You're about to learn something no one else will ever reveal to you, the art of turning public humiliation into raw power. Because what if I told you that when they mocked you, when they sneered, whispered, pointed, or brushed you off in front of the entire world, wasn't your demise, it was your stage? What if I told you the greatest masters of power, from giants of the courtroom to warlords, from stoic emperors to modern-day manipulators, never had anything to fear about humiliation? They anticipated it. They plotted for it. They armed themselves with it. This is not about getting even. This is about change, about becoming so emotionally immovable, so psychologically impenetrable, that the people who once humiliated you start to dread your silence more than they fear your rage. Welcome to the Machiavellian flip, where public humiliation is a path to ascension, and all insults are mirrors that reflect back at them, not you, me, clear. Humiliation hurts, but it won't kill you. Flaring back at it emotionally, that's what kills you. And why you're here today is because you're done with other people writing the script of your life for you. You're done with giving the abuser the stage. You're here to take it back without screaming, without begging, and without ever giving up on your stance. Because when you understand how to dominate the room, not just with words, but with silence, frame, and tactic, you stop becoming a target. You become the one who gets other people uneasy to speak. So stay with me, because when you're done with this, you will never view humiliation in the same manner again. You will look at it and smile, because you'll know exactly what to do next. Why humiliation works, and why it sticks. Humiliation. It doesn't hurt merely. It persists. It circles in the recesses of your mind like a curse echo. It's not pain alone, it's positioning. The person who baits you out loud before everyone else does three things at once. Controls the narrative, stolen social standing, tests your response, and most individuals blow that test. They over-respond, explain, lash out, or withdraw into silence. But a Machiavellian, he watches the whole board, because the worst you can possibly do when humiliated is show that it worked. The psychological theater, don't react, direct the stage. The Machiavellian does not fight fire with fire. He directs the room. And that begins with the crowd, not the attacker. Humiliation only works if you respond on their terms. So the switch begins here. Neutralize the stage. Silence. Gazing. A slow, surgical smile. No words, just suggestion. Let the audience catch it. I'm calculating, not crumbling. Because doubt, that is terrifying. And a consistent target who does not blink destabilizes all expectation. Reframe the attack. Don't argue. Don't explain. Turn around. Say, "That's telling. How much you wanted to say that." Or, "A lot of performance for so little effect." You are not attacking. You are exposing. Not your pain, their desperation. Own your flaw before they do. Say, "Yeah, that happened, and I'm still standing while you're reaching." That's not defense. That's psychological armor. You've diffused the weapon before it fires again. Unbreakable is not equal to loud, it's cold. Clean control. The goal isn't to look strong. It's to look unbreakable. Looking strong still invites attacks. Looking unbreakable makes people pause because here's the bitter truth. Power doesn't move fast. Power moves with gravity. So when they try to belittle you, slow down. Don't speak more, speak less. Don't rise up, let your energy drop. Bring the moment lower than you, not because of pride, because of dominance. And remember this, the audience won't remember what was said. They'll remember who looked in control. Flip the script, turn their insult into a confession. Suppose someone flouts at you, calls you arrogant, too confident, too intense. Don't retaliate, just tilt your head and say, "Interesting thing to notice. You speak from experience?" You just flip their insult into a mirror, and now they feel vulnerable. That is not wordplay. That's psychological judo. You deflected their energy and made them carry it. This is the way humiliation equals status elevation. Not with anger, with quiet. When silence is your strengthy. Not all things that humiliate are a scream. Sometimes it's being ignored, cut off, left out. Here's the Machiavellian fix. Don't go for validation. That's what they want to see you grovel for relevancy. Disengage without passion. Talk to someone else. Turn away. Smile. You've already made them obsolescent. Reconstruct the frame elsewhere. The moment you're the gravitational center of another group, spotlight shines again, and they're unaware. Humiliation is theater. It needs a stage, a spotlight, and people to see. If you remove the people, you end the play. Rehearsed humiliation cut it at the root. Here's the thing that they never mention. Most public jabs are rehearsed, spoken ahead of time, practiced, awaiting. So if you say, "Don't worry, maybe you'll get it right next time," stop, lean forward, smile, say, "That one was too rehearsed. You've been storing it, huh? You just destroyed the illusion of improvisation, exposed them as fixated." The audience? They won't laugh now. They'll squirm in embarrassment, because the jokester just became the joke. Humiliation equals identity warfare. Never let them frame you. Here's the takeaway. Humiliation is not about facts. It's about frames. And if they frame you as weak, desperate, or clumsy, and you internalize it, that frame is your identity in the crowd's mind. The Machiavellian doesn't argue for the truth. He disrupts the rhythm of the aggressor. Take a sip of your drink. Lean back, let silence be, and then say once, only once, with cold calculation, "Strange how much attention you give me for someone who's not impressed." Boom. You've deflected the spotlight away from your performance and onto their obsession with it. You didn't win the argument. You won the meaning of the moment. Anticipate the next attack and remain unreadable. Here's the last, unforgiving rule. Once you turn back humiliation with success, it won't happen again. The next time, it will be covert, a compliment, camouflaged as a joke, a venom-spiked question. But your stance remains the same, expressionless, calculated, unbreakable. And if they continue to try, let them dig, let them overplay, let them talk too much. And then when the audience is in motion, when the silence is crushing, you utter it once, you appear to be deeply invested in this performance. And that's all. You've turned their monologue against them. Not with shouting, not with indignation. With scalpel, humiliation only works on the unprepared. Humiliation only works on the eager to be perfect. But when you emancipate yourself from the need to be comprehended, when you trade emotion for guidance, sound for computation, you become impervious. That's the actual Machiavellian switch, not avoiding the blow, but podiuming the blow. Not rising above the slight, but making them wonder why they even tried. Because real power doesn't yell. It smiles and waits. Humiliation is not a wound, it's a stage. The Machiavellian not only resists it, he uses it not once but repeatedly, so that every stab you try to make is a tool of elevation. Because once you master this, humiliation is no longer trauma but theater, and you are no longer the victim, you're the director. Let's explore further this psychological warfare. Because the moment you've been humiliated by someone, you've already shown them something they never wanted to see. They are playing status games, and they think you're dangerous. That's why they're playing. That's why they waited until the crowd saw. Because if they truly thought you were beneath them, they would not waste the energy. This is the trigger that turns the game around. You were never weak. You were risky, and they felt it first. So, your silence, not surrender. It's precision. Your hesitation, not disorientation. It's strategy. The status shift. When you abandon trying to win, you start controlling. Here's how the crumblers distinguish from the responders after humiliation. Everyone tries to win the battle. The Machiavellian doesn't even call it a war. He redefines the whole experience as misdirection and leaves with the room still buzzing, still recalculating what just happened. Let's break this down with brutal precision. Say someone fires a sharp insult at your expense. Maybe it's veiled. Maybe it's direct. Average response: I didn't mean it that way. That's not fair. I was just trying to help. Machiavellian response: that's a lot of energy for someone you're supposedly not threatened by. Suddenly, everyone who is observing starts questioning the question that your unspoken planted. Why are they so upset? What do they try to prove? That's your win, not the words, but the questions that you provoke in the audience's head. Control the crowd, Colorado, and troll the outcome. Now let's talk about the crowd, the silent jury of all public interactions. Most people believe humiliation is a two-person conversation. But the Machiavellian knows, Maya, it's not. It's a three-part dynamic. The attacker, the target, the audience. And the audience is everything, because they determine the lasting memory. Not what was said, but how it felt. Not who was loudest, but who looked like they were in control. So when you're humiliated, here's your checklist. Keep your posture upright. Still. Breathe slowly, don't flinch. Let your first words trail. Be precise. And not be directed at the insult, but at the energy behind it. You're not speaking to defend yourself, you're speaking to reroute the audience. And when you hold control of the room's perception, you've rewritten history. Slow time. Own the silence. Time manipulation is one of the most deadly tactics of the Machiavellian reversal. The attacker craves momentum. They want to hit, land, laugh, and move on before anyone can process what happened. Your job? Slow everything down. Break the rhythm. Force stillness into a moment they wanted to rush past. And then when the tension is thick enough to slice, say, one line that doesn't fight, it freezes. You've thought about that one for a while, haven't you? It's not a punch. It's a spotlight turned around on them, and now they're in its glare. Their timing no longer feels spontaneous. Their smirk no longer comes naturally. And you? You seem to be the only one in the room who didn't blink. Emotional neutrality. The weapon they can't touch. What the power of emotional neutrality does. It makes your enemy incapable of discovering your vulnerability. All aggressors seek emotional reactions, blinks, stammers, defensiveness, shame. But when your face doesn't change, when your voice stays even, when you stare them in the eye and just state, "That's one way to say it," you've short-circuited their whole plan. And now the room isn't expecting you to fall apart, it's expecting them to clarify. That's the frame flip. And once flipped, it won't flip back. Spot the bait and never bite. This is a little secret that not everyone knows. Not everything meant to humiliate you is meant to kill you. Some is meant to bait you. Why? Because the attacker requires verification. They require you to react. They need you to confirm their narrative, to perform your scripted role. But in case you don't bite, in case you hold firm, unruffled, and reflective, they get no verification, only confusion. And confusion is power because it causes them to stop the next time. Own the frame, never explain yourself. There is a rule you can never violate. Never explain yourself to the world after being publicly embarrassed. Explaining is responding. Responding is surrendering. The Machiavellian never explains, he reframes. If someone embarrasses you in public, "You're so intense all the time," lighten up. The normal response? "I didn't mean to be. I just care deeply. I'm not trying to be intense." Machiavellian response? Odd how depth upsets shallow people. You didn't clarify, you revealed, and now they are the one who must be held accountable for the moment. Emotional invincibility. Real power is in one thing. Emotional invincibility. To be able to be misunderstood and not budge. To be attacked and still be whole. To be laughed at and remain calculating. That's what terrifies them. They don't fear your words. They fear that you're not afraid to be mocked. That you're not controlled by applause or shame. They fear that you've reached a place they cannot go, indifference to approval. Immunity to attack. That's when they see the same tricks they used to play on others, bounce off you like dull blades on stone. The moment they fear you most, so when you step into the next room, when you can feel the smirks, the whispers, the tainted sarcasm, don't bite, let them play it out. And then do what they fear most. Remain silent. Hold their gaze. Make the silence sweat them out, and only speak once to conclude it, not to argue. That's what distinguishes the humiliated and the untouchable. One tries to win the debate, the other prescribes the punishment. And once you master this, you will not just regain your power. You'll make them think twice before ever trying it on. Because you didn't suffer the humiliation, you wore it like a crown. The silent kill. How the untouchable destroys without moving. Here's the Machiavellian truth they don't want you to get inside your head. The most hurtful tactic in social warfare is stillness. Because stillness isn't passivity. It isn't fear. It's a signal that the game being played is beneath you. That their insults, their plots, their baited jokes, they don't deserve your emotion. And when your power stays static while theirs does the opposite, the crowd can feel it. The imbalance grows. And then, out of nowhere, the person who wanted you to look weak starts to seem like a hysterical one. Let's break it down. A guy throws a jab. You don't wince, he teases. You don't smile. He pressures harder. Too somber, can't take a joke. You tilt your head and say, your need for an audience is showing. And that's it, no insult. No explanation. Just a knife diagnosis. Suddenly, the crowd isn't so much on their side anymore, because now they're the one who looks insecure. And you look unshakable. Exposing the performer with one question. The greatest weapon against the person who belittles others is curiosity, not the inquiring type that fires off questions, but the inquiring type that holds up the mirror in their face. This is the illustration. They cut you off in a group setting loudly, rudely, smirking, "Isn't this the same tale you told last time?" Most individuals would apologize or stumble. You don't. You quiet the room, look at them, and ask flat and deadpan, "What is it that you're keeping tabs on about me?" And now, here we are. The frame turned. The joke they were certain would put you down, it exposed them. Why are they watching you so closely? Why are they keeping tabs? Why are they so fixated on what you say? That's the Machiavellian twist. They wanted to be in the spotlight, and now it's burning them alive. Every insult is a window into their mind. Here's a secret no one ever shows you. Most efforts at public shaming aren't about you. They're about them, their fear, their need to be in control. The desperation that someone like you is out there and will refuse to play their game. So the next time someone tries to shame you, don't wonder, how do I defend myself? Question. What insecurity are they trying to conceal currently? Because once you halt reacting and start to think, something strange happens. You move beyond the moment, and they start to lose it in it. When you talk, Massachusetts key them sweet experience. Let's talk sound the most underestimated tool in public power games. Your voice should never rise, never match their drama. Never try to keep up, instead it should fall. Stay calm, measured, dully slow. For the Machiavellian knows in the field of shame, loudness loses, clarity wins. So when you do decide to speak, make it sound like a knife sliding across silk. I wonder how many versions of me exist in your head. That one line says so much without saying a single word. And now? They're the one who seems fixated. You're the one who seems above them. Don't just survive. Strategize. Let's debunk a myth today. Surviving through public embarrassment isn't enough, because surviving still means hurt. It still leaves bruises. It still shows you winced. What the Machiavellian craves is to occupy the space, to leave, not neutral but in charge. Not just unscarred, but respected. This is how you do it. Step 1. Emotionally feel nothing. No eye roll. No snappy retort. No joke meant to deflect. Step 2. Paraphrase in one sentence. Not to be funny, but to be eerily collected. Examples. You're more interested in me than I am in this conversation. You rehearsed that, didn't you? It's okay. I'll wait for the sequel. You ever worry people see through this farce? Step 3. Pull your energy back, not as retreat, but as declaration. You don't give them the eye. You don't fight to be heard. You simply switch your attention elsewhere, and everyone watching along gets it. You don't need their permission. You've already passed the stage they are at. The psychology of unreadability. There is a moment, an enormously specific moment, when people stop trying to shame you. It's not when you lash out. It's not when you outwit them. It's when they understand they can't read you, that their words don't hold, their timing doesn't work anymore, their audience isn't laughing the same. You've become unpredictable, you've become transparent, and in social dominance that's fatal. Because people are afraid of what they can't predict. They avoid what they can't decipher. And when you're unreadable, you're untouchable. The crowd memory. What they actually remember. The rest of us wince at the words that are uttered in embarrassment. Incorrect term. Because what the crowd isn't actually recalling is the insult. They're not recalling the punchline. What they do remember is the energy, the posture, the composure. The person who remains standing tall. That's why if you turn humiliation on its head, you don't fight fire with fire. You are the border that takes in theirs. You shift the spotlight, not aggressively, but with force. And force doesn't excuse. It just draws all things to it. The deep game. Humiliation is a reveal, not a loss. This is the Machiavellian mantra. Public embarrassment is not a sign you're losing. It's a sign that someone believes you're winning and wants the shortcut, because no one tries to shame the invisible. They shame the rising menace, the one who speaks truthfully, who needs no validation, who upends the group by simply not participating in its tomfoolery. That is you. That is why they are trying to steer the frame. And when you deny it, when you bring down that frame by its own weight, you're not just immune, you're a myth. When they stop playing, there is a moment when the crowd who used to taunt you makes no sound. They don't try to offend anymore. They don't provoke. They don't make jokes about you. Why? Because somewhere along the way, they know they can't beat someone who doesn't need to win. That's Machiavellian theory. You don't need to dominate each minute.